beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beautiful
Guyana will become the next Dubai, and we, the citizens of Guyana, are super excited to benefit from our homeland the same way the citizens of Dubai benefit from theirs.
This is what life is like for citizens from the Emirate of Dubai. When you are born, your parents pay nothing. Your delivery and checkups for the next 9 months are all free. Then you grow up and you go to school. Local school in Dubai is free. And so are universities, because Dubai will pay for you to get a degree.
I studied at Zayed University and New York University, both for free.
Who's gonna pay for that?
The government.
Then you get married. If you can't afford the wedding, you get $20,000 to throw a wedding. And after marriage, every local Dubai family gets this: free land. Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Sure, yes.
And if you cannot afford the home, then you get a grant to build it for free.
I also can't afford building a house. I can get a 0 interest loan on housing.
Zero?
0.
If you need to go to the hospitals are free. And if you need surgery that's not available here, they will fly you to another country to get treatment for free. When you become a senior citizen, you get discounts, many discounts. And if you live alone and can't afford it, Dubai will even send a caretaker to look after you for free. And when you die, well, in Dubai, that's also free. Your funeral will be taken care of, and Dubai will build a full tent with air conditioning within 5 hours of your death next to your home, so your friends can come and say goodbye to you.
Guyana will become the next Dubai.
Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beautiful Guyana.
A very good evening to all our viewers on this May Day, as workers in Guyana and around the world celebrate Labor Day. We want to congratulate all our laborers, all our workers in Guyana for a wonderful day. It's sad that the unions still could not come together. FITOG went one way and the TUC went another way. And I think the division for workers is not the right thing to do. But we'll keep on hoping that one day things will change and all the workers of our country will be proud enough to march under one banner, because at the end of the day, we are all Guyanese workers. So I want to thank you for being with our program tonight. We want to thank Noir Singh for making this platform available, and of course to Ryan Gobin, our technical specialist. Tonight we have two outstanding young ladies. Mayor Arrindel is unavoidably delayed, so when she joins us, she will be on the air. But we have with us one of Guyana's best, Tamica Garnett. She is the chief reporter in the Guyana Chronicle. And Ms. Garnett, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Sugrim. Thank you for having me.
And of course, my co-host, Dr. Rose.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, Ms. Garnett, and welcome to all our listeners from coast to coast.
Yeah, Ms. Garnett, most of Guyana would know you, those who read the Chronicle, that is, most likely, and of course your friends and family and your, people around you. But tell us exactly, who is Tamica Garnett?
Who is Tamica Garnett? Tamica Garnett is a very energetic, adventurous young lady. I'm a mother of one. I have been a journalist for over 10 years now. I started out working at the Stabrook News as a sports journalist. And in 2013, I moved to the Guyana Chronicle. I started out as a freelancer, actually, doing sports as well. Then I eventually came on staff as a reporter, and I moved up in the ranks over the years. I eventually transitioned from doing sports to covering what we call hard news over here, which is the general news outside of sports. It has been quite a learning experience as a journalist. It's developed so many qualities in you. It's definitely helped me grow where it concerns my confidence and interpersonal relationship, interacting with persons. As a mother, I still believe that's one of the greatest thing in my life right now, motherhood. I absolutely love my son. From the minute anybody mentions anything about my son, it just puts a smile on my face. He recently celebrated his birthday on Friday. So that's me as a mother. As a young lady, I like to think that I'm a bit driven. I'm a bit of a go-getter. I always like to be active, doing something. What else can I say about myself? Oh, I'm a country girl as well. A lot of people think because I spend so much time in the city, because I work over here, that I'm from the city, but I'm actually from the country.
Well, thank you, and happy belated birthday to your lovely son. I hope he had a great birthday. He's born in a great planet. Actually, tomorrow, if you don't know, is Brian Lara's birthday. And my wife's birthday is on the 8th, and one of my son's birthdays on the 15th. So Tara seems to be some of the best people around. So to your son, we want to wish him all the best. He seems to have a great mom, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy that as he grow older. What, Miss Garnett, what caused you to get into journalism?
That's actually, journalism was never my goal career. My goal career was medicine, actually. Journalism was supposed to be a bit of like a transition job. I got into journalism pretty young. I was 20 years old. And at that time, I just wanted something to do. I was at home looking for a job like young grannies tend to be doing. And I remember when I saw the advertisement in the Stabrook News for a reporter, and I thought that would be so interesting if I got that job and what it would mean, particularly when it said sports journalist, because at that time, I felt like I really wanted to prove myself as a young lady. And I thought, what better way to do that than to enter the sports arena, which obviously is a male-dominated arena. So I felt like I wanted that to see what that experience would be like. Even as I was a journalist, I started to follow up my pursuit of a medical career. I started university. I did a diploma in chemistry. But at somewhere along the line, my passion for doing medicine did not pan out. And I just ended up converting to working full time as a journalist. And I haven't looked back since.
Why print media? You have a great voice. You have a beautiful feature. Why don't you go on television?
I've thought about that. I'm not going to lie. I have thought about the idea of doing other forms of media, the radio, television. I always worry because with print, remember, you could go over a story a million times, make changes. If you do a mistake, that's between you and your editor. When it comes to radio and television, especially when it's live, I think I do get a little worried about making a mistake and what it would be like for me to put myself in that kind of spot where I'm on television and you can't make mistakes. Sometimes, you would see a news item and somebody mispronounces a word and it's not really that they don't know the word, but it just happens and stuff like that. So I've been a little bit nervous at the idea of doing television and radio.
And I'm glad you raised that because I never remember when the president was the United Nations and he was saying Turkey and people think he pronounced it wrong and there were different pronunciation for it and so on. And you're right. But in the television, there is the teleprompter, right? That you read the news from the teleprompter. So the probability of making mistake is very remote, unless the teleprompter, of course, breaks down, which sometimes seems to be the case.
But it's also the fact that I just always ended up in the print media because I moved from Saarbrück News to Guyana Chronicle, and I just never followed up the idea of moving over to television or doing radio. But I don't know, I kind of, after I moved to the Guyana Chronicle, I guess I kind of found a home here, and I just got stuck here.
Okay, Dr. Rose.
Miss Barnett, good evening again to you. Now, I must ask you this question or else I'll be remiss. You had a major confrontation with a PNC member, Miss Carol Joseph. Can you tell our listeners what led to that confrontation?
That confrontation actually came about in just doing my job. What happened is, as we all know, the local government elections is currently ongoing. So that is a hot topic issue. It's a pertinent issue right now in the news. In the public, persons want information all the time as things continue to develop. This conversation took place just a few days after Nominations Day. And as we know, Nomination Day is the day where the various political parties, the groups, the voluntary groups, and the individuals submit their lists to GCOM, the Guyana Elections Commission, so that they can be put on the ballot for the elections. So it was a few days after that, and obviously persons want information on who's contesting where. As we know, the local government elections doesn't always get a large turnout. So you want to have as much information out there so that person can be informed to know that, okay, I need to go out and vote. This is what's going on in my area. So what happened, I actually called someone at the APNU. I wasn't sure who I needed to ask to get their list of the local authority areas where they would be contesting. So I called someone in the APNU party, and they said, okay, call Miss Joseph because she's the chief scrutineer and she would have all the information or any necessary information relating to the elections. So naturally, I just called her. And obviously you saw how the conversation played out, and that left me dumbfounded. It wasn't a conversation that in any way had anything to do with a controversial issue, which I think is what surprised me the most about the response. Because I know persons with controversial issue, persons don't want to give information and they can be a little hostile, but they may say no comment and things like that. But I simply asked for the list of LAA. Mind you, this is information that was going to eventually be made public because it's actually public right now. So it's not even something that to say I'm getting some high level party information or something. This is information that's going to be out in the public, that needs to be out in the public, because if you're contesting in elections, your electorate needs to know where you are. So I called her to get the list of neighborhood democratic councils and municipalities where APNU was submitting lists for, because the approved list hadn't come out as yet. And that's how it all just led to that.
Okay. Now, prior to that, a reporter from Kaiser News, Miss Davina Bagot, she was attacked, she's claimed, by PEP supporters as well. What do you think these attacks are taking place in Guyana against reporters?
We have entered election season, and election season can be a tense situation in Guyana. As we saw play out, we already know what it kind of can be because we saw what played out during the 2020 elections, supporters from either parties, they just want to support their party, and they can take it to an unnecessary level, I would say. And as journalists, the supporters and party members tend to assign you as involuntary politicians. That's the way I put it. So their feelings towards their opponents, as it pertains to their political opponents, they would, however they feel about those political opponents is sometimes how they feel about the media personnel as well. And so when they're directing their feelings towards that situation at journalists is how it's playing out. This is actually, even though I've covered elections before where it concerns the 2020 elections, which was quite a heightened period. It was kind of the tightest period we ever seen where it concerns how tense things were. And it played out for 5 months. So things were really tense. And I know personally of reports from journalists where they spoke about their experiences, what they experienced during that 2020 elections. I didn't experience too much of that firsthand because I didn't do interactions with much of the politicians beyond the elections day. COVID came right after that. So there was a new arrangement with journalists where a limited amount would just cover elections and be going out. And at that time, persons started to work from home. So I was among the reporters that started to work from home. So I just followed the news. I wasn't interacting with the politicians and doing stories on the developments that came after the elections. But I would hear from reporters, there were so many incidents of what reporters experienced, particularly from the supporters of the political parties. And it's a sad situation that we now have another elections upon us, and we're going to more likely than not see something like that play out again, where reporters are just going to be in the firing line as persons look for a target for their feelings because of however the elections is going.
Okay. The media is considered the fourth estate, meaning that it should hold governments, public corporations, and everything else accountable. Do you think the media in Guyana has done that so far?
I think we are developing where the media is concerned. We get the news out there. We do ask, contrary to what persons seem to always want to feel, that we don't ask politicians hard questions, or this media house is for that side and that media house is for that side. So we're treating this side easy and that side hard. I don't think that's the case. We as journalists do a job, and I think we're doing a pretty good job as a collective, not just to say myself or just the reporters at my media house or reporters at Kaito News or whatever. I think as a collective media body in Guyana, I think we are doing a good job. We are trying our best to get information out there. I think we do face more barriers and challenges than people sometimes realize. Because not only are we juggling our work life, or we're juggling our personal life as well. And in our work life, we're facing so much difficulty, as I would have seen in that phone call with Ms. Joseph. That's just one example of what you face every day as a journalist sometimes. And so given the barriers we face and the challenges we face and the limitations in resources as well, journalism isn't the best paying job in Guyana. It is what it is, and a lot of times you see journalists even moving on to doing things like PR, but for a lot of us, we do this job because we love it. And so I would say that we are doing a good job given all of the challenges, barriers, and other things that we face in the execution of that job.
You said you're doing journalism, or most people do it because they love it. And it's not the best paying job in Guyana. But the thing is this, with journalism, you get media exposure either way or the other. Do you think journalists like yourself are fair in covering stories?
I think we, and I because I'm glad you asked this question because of course I work for the Guyana Chronicle, and there's the perception, of course, okay, the Guyana Chronicles of the government and what's not. But whatever we put out there, it's not anything that wasn't said or anything that isn't true. Because obviously persons have recourse, such as the legal system, if something that is published is libelous or defamatory to them. They do have the option, and we don't see that a lot. We do have a few cases that would have happened, and we saw how some of them played out. But whatever is published is the truth. That is how it is.
What's the most difficult story you had to report? It could be an accident, it could be a death, it could be anything. What's the most difficult story you had to report personally?
Oh, let me think. I would have had, it's definitely those gruesome cases. There was one case where a young lady was murdered by her partner. As you know, Guyana has a terrible domestic violence situation, a very sad situation. And my boss told me, you have to, I think this was a case that happened in La Penitence. The boyfriend actually murdered her and then went to the police station and just told them that he murdered her. That's just how brutal that was. And so I had to go to the house to cover that. And you're seeing the family there. You as a journalist, you just don't know sometimes how you should to approach these persons because they're grieving so much. And even as you try to get information that you need to get that story out there, at the same time too, you're looking at this family that is dealing with this loss. And that was pretty impactful for me, especially because it was a domestic violence case and it was a very young lady. And at that time, it was just dealing with something like that. Those are the difficult cases, especially when it has to deal with covering the death of an innocent person, whether it might be an accident as well. There was also an accident where I had to go on the scene and the person was just dying right in front of my eyes. And it was a young person. And just seeing some stuff like that sometimes can be a little unsettling. So those are some of the most traumatizing things that you probably usually.
Welcome, Mayor Arrindel. Charles, over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Garnett. We want to welcome Mayor of Linden, Mayor Waneka Arrindel. Mayor, you just exit the stage. Mayor, you there? All right, by the time we get back to Mayor. Ms. Garnett, interestingly, you started with Chronicle, and you started with Starbuck News, and then you move on to Chronicle. Any reason why you segue into Chronicle?
Yeah, at that time, I actually was working two jobs when, at the point in time when I left the Starbuck News, I was freelancing and I was working another job and I was also at university. So Starbuck News wasn't doing freelancers anymore. They wanted full-time staff. And that wasn't something that could work for me at that point in time, given all of the other demands that was happening in my life at that point in time.
I got you. And we want to welcome again. Mayor, your mute is on.
Good evening, everyone. Do apologize for being late.
Good evening.
That's okay. We announced that you had some traffic issues. Mayor, we had Ms. Garnett, and she's been doing a fabulous job for us in your absence. You just spoke of local government election, the interaction she had with a member of one political party. But how is it at Linden? How did local government election, the nomination day went on at Linden?
It was very smooth. Both parties were able to come out and have their marches along the roadway. And then they all culminated at the GCOM office. So I think it went quite smoothly.
Okay. How many district councillors in Linden?
We have one council, and then we have Kokwani that has an NDC.
So 2. Okay. I don't know if you watched Christopher Ram playing talk with former Mayor Hamilton Green the other day.
Did not.
And I was kind of taken back because Christopher Ram asked the mayor that there's really no laws enacted that tell us exactly what the local authority does. So I went back and checked a little, and I see Chapter 2801, which is Municipal and District Council Act, and then 2802 is the Local Government Act. So I'm not sure when Mr. Ram asks Mayor Green about those things not in place. But Mayor, if you don't mind, tell us exactly what authority I don't know if you can speak of local government, but like the NDCs, but at least municipality. What authority does the mayor and the council have in any municipality?
So our authority comes from the 2801, but of course, I guess I did not listen to the interview, of course, but I'm assuming that when the mayor was answering the question, it might have been the issue of how those laws are being superseded by central government that limits the work of local authorities. So local authorities' main role, all of the information is in the 2801, but they're not enacted through us. So according to the 2801, we have authority over the entire area that belongs to us. It should cover, we should be overseeing lights, water, solid waste management, burial spaces, open spaces, community centers and community grounds, education, and those aspects. All of that covers under 2801. But I think what has happened in Guyana is that most of that has been superseded by the central government. Education, water, electricity, they're not under us. The fields, the open spaces are now between the RDC and the municipality based on who started the work and based on who started the work and based on which organ it filters under. The cleaning and clearing of our roadways, the repairs to roads, those are fall under us. But because the municipality does not have a large amount of monies, those repairs most times we have to still be dependent on central government to help us do those. So it's not that the powers are not there, is that they're not enacted, and most of them have been taken back by central government.
And Ms. Garnett, you report on elections and you report on the municipality and so on. These are serious concerns that is hindering the work of municipalities. Are we getting enough reporting in our press in terms of the challenges that the municipalities and the NDC they're having?
That's interesting. Are they getting enough coverage as local government bodies? No, I don't think. I think we can do a better job of going into the local government, local authority areas and checking in on what's going on, seeing how they're spending this subvention, seeing the structure that they have in place, looking at what if that they're actually doing things in these communities that they're supposed to be doing. More coverage can be done for that, yes.
We had Mr. Rohi last week, Mayor Arrindel, and we also had Mr. Jonas on. And what Mr. Rohi said was very informative in that it's a decision taken by the PPP that there'll be no new increase in taxes for municipalities. When I read the act says that you need money to get things done. Mr. Jonas made the same point, and I think Mr. Krisaram also made the same point. Without money, nothing can be done. When I read the Act 2801, 2802, the minister seems to be prominent in making all decisions. So what are we having? Do we really need, and I want to ask you this really bluntly, Ms. Mayor, do we really, well, let me rephrase the question. We need local government, we need it. But when are we going to get it functional? When will it be functional? And what needs to be done to make it functional?
And that's a deep, deep question. Unless there are constitutional reforms, it can't be. I think one of the problems we have is that politics has usurped the authority of local organs. In the first world country, what they've been able to do, and better, I'm not in the country, but based on what I'm looking on, they've been able to separate local governance from central government. And so local organs are elected by the people, and you do not need to be on a party to be elected. Now, because in Guyana we vote party, we have the issue of pulling away party from local government, and that's something that doesn't really happen. And so what you end up having in your local organs is persons who are more so satisfying their party interests than the people themselves. Unless we can remove that, we'll always have the complications that we're having right now. So it seems to me that, as you mentioned with the minister, there was an attempt under the Granger administration to really minimize the impact of the ministers making decisions. And that's how I think the local government commission came into place, to kind of remove some of those powers from the minister, because before it was the local authority and then everything has to go through the minister.
Ms. Arrindel, sorry to cut you. Who appointed the local government commission?
It's part of the act, but I think when
no, who makes the appointment? Who appoint those officers?
And that's the problem. So even though, and that's where I was getting, even though we moved from the minister, what we did with the local government commission, we made it political again by having members of each party sit on the committee, and then we have the minister who has a seat also. The union has a seat, and then I think there's another selected. So we have again not fulfilled, we attempted to, but they're not fulfilled the actual purpose of making local government local, because we put politicians back in the same seat and persons who represent parties in the same seat, instead of using the strength of local persons to do it. So we really will not go anywhere unless all that can change. And my fear in politics in Guyana, it's more of power than people. And so everybody tries when they get in there to set a system that suits them and not suit the people. That's just my personal view. So because of that, we're not moving anywhere at this point.
Ms. Garnett, and that's a really great reporting to do. And I want to agree with the mayor, but also disagree. I don't quite really concern people vote party lists on local government election. That is all right. That's fundamental right. They vote how they want. But what I'm saying, after the election, the municipality and the NDC must be given the authority, whoever controls those municipalities and NDC, they must be given the authority to do their job, as is laid out in the act, as the mayor pointed out, all the areas that they have to cover. Now, central government comes in, and we had this chat last time when we had Mr. Rohi on the program with us. The president goes out like Santa Claus coming down, and everything gets done. When the local authority and the NDC is supposed to get it done, and the president will come and say, okay, boys, good job. Okay, girls, good job. But the president has to come in to get things done. But we're not seeing it in the reporting in the printed media, Ms. Garnett.
Could you repeat that, please?
We're not seeing those reporting coming out forceful that as what the mayor was saying, we're giving municipalities and NDC a basket to carry water. They have no authority. The town clerk is appointed by the minister in the municipality. The overseer is appointed by the minister or whoever in the NDCs. That's where the authority lies. They're the CEO of the municipality and the NDC. Where is the function of the elected councillors?
You're directing that question at me?
Yes, Ms. Garnett.
Okay, I don't think I can comment too much on the function of the elected councillors, but I do believe we have an issue in the local government organs with accountability, and that issue cannot just be dashed to the side. And not just accountability in terms of money, but accountability in terms of decisions. And I think capacity building is very much needed as it concerns local government organs. And even if you look at the case with the parking meter, now this situation played out at a point in time when the APNUFC was in government and the APNUAFC was also ruling the Georgetown local authority area. So they're the party that would always talk about the need for the local authority areas to have the full authority over their areas. And then they had to turn back and eat their words, and the minister had to step in when the parking meter situation got out of hand and had to bar the company from going forward with the situation. Now, even as we say we need to give local authority areas or councils the free right to do whatever they're doing, we can't say that you can't have any oversight over them, because what happens when what they're doing is not necessarily in the best benefit of the people? Then, so as I said, the parking meter situation, and a lot of times we say that there's this disconnect between central government, when central government is the PPPC and the local authority area of the municipality is the APNU. But this was a situation that played out when the APNU was in government, and we saw what happened there. So even if we're trying to make it seem like the situation is because there isn't continuity between the political bodies at central government and at the local authority level, then why could such a situation play out on the APNU? Then again, we also saw the situation with money. When during its time in office, the APNU gave the city council a lot of money. And when we saw what played out when we had the commission of inquiry into City Hall, all the things that came out with what was going on at City Hall, there was one particular company, because I actually covered the commission of inquiry, so I could speak a little bit about this. There was one particular company that had a contract to clean the Le Repentier cemetery. That company was still owed $150 million, even after all of the money that was given to the City Hall was expended. And so the company actually ended up reaching out to central government, which at that time was Minister Bulkan. This came out at the COI. And the company said they reached out to Minister Bulkan, and all Minister Bulkan told them was that, well, we gave all the money that covered the projects for this. This was under an initiative called the Georgetown Restoration Program, actually. So that's what the company was supposed to be paid under. And at different years, it was about 100 million. Some years was 200 millions and such. And so the company wasn't getting anywhere with City Hall to get their money, to get paid for work that they had already done. So especially if you're a small business, you feel that is severely unfair. So they turned to central government because the funding was coming from central government directly to City Hall. And the company went to central government and said, okay, can you help us get our money? This is $150 million. This is not $150. And all that the central government could say to that company is, the local authority has anonymity. It controls itself, and you have to go there and get the money because we gave them all the money. And so, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. So even as we say we need freedom for local authority areas, we can't say that we're leaving the populace at the mercy of an ill-equipped, incompetent council. We have to look even where it concerns what allows you to be qualified as a councillor. I think you just need to be able to read and write and stuff like that. And if it's a case where persons are voting along politics more than they're voting along development and looking at who can do better for our community, and these politicians are put in there because of politics, and they don't have any clue what they're doing, where does that leave us as the citizens when there is no oversight over our local authority area? We can't go to central government for any redress of anything that's happening. And Again, what about accountability of the money? I am in an NDC. I don't know how they spend their money. Who's accounting for that? How do we get that? If not from the central government, who? How do we ask the questions and get the answers when you're in a local authority area and your area has issues? I think there was also some issues, not to jump on Miss Arrindel or anything, but I think there was also some issues where some landowners had issues with the parapet and some other areas, and they were talking about not getting assistance from the city council. Again, I'm not attacking Miss Arrindel or anything, and then having to turn to central government to see what can be done. So we do have that conflict there, and until we perhaps can get, I want to say competent people. I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to insult the people that are there already, but we do need something for the citizens between us and the local authority area. If I'm in a local authority area and I'm not getting things done, you're paying your taxes or whatever, even though it might be at whatever rate it is currently, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a citizen, and even if, say, central government is giving your NDC or your municipality the cash and you're not seeing anything that's going on with this money, what do you do as a citizen? Okay, the central government gave my local authority area $10 million to do this, and I don't see the project. Does the local authority area just have all rights to do whatever it wants? I think we do. That is a complex situation that probably legislation does need to address better. But as it is, there still needs to be some buffer for citizens between their local authority areas and the government.
Ms. Garnett, you've spoken a mouthful there, and I hope you run for president one day. I think you have great plans. But Mayor Arrindel, Ms. Garnett brought up two important points, more than two, but I just want to raise two. One is that with the problem with the Georgetown City Council, with the parking meters, and secondly with the Lapentier Cemetery. Very excellent point. And what I'm asking you, Mayor, is that with our culture in Guyana, are we having little Caesars setting up in different areas? So this is my domain, this is my territory, I'm gonna do what I want here, this is what's gonna happen. Is that the mindset you think of our people? Because Ms. Garnett mentioned the parking meter, and guess what? The mayor who instituted that is now on the list of the government list for local government election. Very interesting. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wanted to really speak on a lot of things that Ms. Garnett just spoke on. So let's start on the parking meter issue. No, let's start about local government issues. I think Ms. Garnett's concern is that she feels as though local government organs are mishandling finances, not doing what they're supposed to do with those finances sent to them by central government, and are not acting in the way that pleases the people in which they were elected to serve, if I can summarize all that was said. I think it's important for us to understand that unless we are in this position, understanding what is happening, seeing what is happening, and understanding how we can move around it and flex with it, then we're able to speak on the issue itself. Local government organs are receiving monies from a 1976 formula, which means people are paying something like 1,500 Guyana dollars a year. And this includes businesses in order to receive all the services Ms. Garnett just mentioned, their parapets, their lights, their streets, cemeteries, everything has to be done on that. Imagine that I cannot go to the shop per month with $1,500 and get anything to suffice. But you're asking a municipality with that amount of money to give every resident what they deserve. And that's a year. That is unacceptable at any cost. To say that municipalities are misusing funds is very, very it was not a thought out process because there's not funds to misuse. There's never enough. Georgetown municipality, which we assume is receiving a lot of money, and I guess the mayor can best defend himself. But the Georgetown municipality receiving a lot of money, that money is based on the monies they make because they get a percentage of that from central government. And we have to understand, for example, Linden receives $18 million a year to do all capital works within an entire city that's about 56 square miles. So the monies that we hear about coming in, we have to look at what that finance has to do. Ms. Garnett is correct that there should be a system that allows for us to be able to say to the people what is being done, and for those persons to vet what is being done. And that is where the local government commission comes in, because they're responsible for vetting the amount of monies that enter into the municipalities and how those monies are spent. So I cannot agree with the fact that municipalities are misspending monies because there's no monies there for them to spend. If we take a census on the municipalities around right now, they're in debt with NIS, they're in debt with Light, they're in debt with GRA, they're in debt with everybody. And for Georgetown, who has, outside of Linden, Georgetown has contracted solid waste people to do their work. And if we check, a lot of that money, they've not been able to pay them because of money they're making. With Linden, we're different. We have private entities doing solid waste management. So it's a bit easier on us because we don't have to find that excess money. But we still have to ensure that those persons who are paying their rates and taxes, that we were able to visit them. Keep in mind that the monies we get is 20% of what it takes to actually manage. So I would say that this is not, that's not the thing to say about us, but of course, we should be able to vet. So we have got to look at that. Then when we talk about Georgetown and the parking meter system, understand local government. I think my problem with local government and central government is that central government wants to play a more pivotal role in the community than allowing central government to, local government to. And also we talked about how media reports. Media does not report local government organs. You invite a media to a local government thing and they turn up when the minister is coming to the event. Then they're rolling in. So all the other things that were mentioned before are hardly seen. And then information given sometimes are filtered before they reach the public. Again, it may have nothing to do with the local government, with the media, nor the person who reported that story. It more so may have to do with the control that they have within the media. So media we have found from local government areas are not, they're not for us, if there's a better, lack of a better word. And so a lot of things that local government organs do are not seen. But if a government minister comes in and open the tape for whatever, then media will come and share that story. And specifically, we talk about DPI, we talk about NCN. This is how, and this is for Linden. I do say, I cannot speak for Georgetown. This is how it's done in Linden. We talk about this, the meter issue. I want us to be, and that again, I'm talking about the fact that in Guyana, it's all about the party. If APNU is in power and something goes wrong, it was APNU's problem. If PPP is in power and something goes wrong, it's PPP's problem. We don't see the fact that it takes everybody who's working and sitting on that municipality to vote for something. Georgetown municipality has about 30-something seats, which have seats of both APNU, PPP, and if there are other parties in there. It takes all of them to vote for something to be done. So it's not the APNU who made a decision to put parking meters. It's the municipality of Georgetown that made a decision to put parking meters. If it failed, the municipality of Georgetown would have failed. If it was successful, the municipality of Georgetown was successful. I have my own concerns and discussion about the parking meter issue, but I don't live in Georgetown, and I'm sure if you call the mayor, he can defend his parking issue. But let's not, and that's what we have to change. We have to change the mindset where even in the media and in public, people are thinking it's this party or that party. We started the road, but you finished the road. You know what? We're all sitting on seats of government. We're all sitting in parliament. We're all sitting at our councils, and we're both parties sitting there. A vote has to be taken. And when that vote is taken, whoever comes out on top, it's the parliament who made the decision. It's the council that made the decision. Until we could get that in our head, we're going to continue to fight over which party we think did it best or worse.
Before Dr. Rose come on, Ms. Garnett, when was the last time the Guyana Chronicle did a good reporting that is positive for the Linden municipality? Can you recall?
Well, Tamica is currently going on, so I don't know if that counts. Personally, as pertains to, I guess Miss Arrindel is trying to talk about, I'm not too certain if she just meant things the municipality is doing. No, I'm not aware of what the municipality is doing as it pertains to if the Garnett Chronicle has done a story on anything going on there. I think the issue comes back to the PR system that may be at Ms. Arnold's disposal, because most of the media house are located in the city. I have never seen, and I don't believe it would ever be the case that Linden would send out a story to say, we went and we cleaned up this area. We went and we built this. We went and we did something that was a major development in Linden. That is not a partisan issue at any point in time. So I'm not sure what may be the breakdown in why Miss Arnold's developments going on in Linden may or may not be getting out there. It may have to do with what are they doing to get that information out there, because the media is located in Georgetown. If you don't send it to us, I mean, every once in a while, you could have a media house have an initiative where they go to Linden and they spend a few days in there and they start a series of stories and reporting on development that's going on in the municipality. But that's not something, and given the kind of workload that we may have as reporters and the kind of different things that we're covering, obviously Guyana has oil and gas now, that's a big thing to cover, and we have so many other issues going on at a fast pace. And I'm not saying that a municipality is not an important area to cover or anything like that, but what can be said about how often a press release is sent out? And I should note that at one point in time, we used to get press releases from Linden. They were, I can't remember, I don't think it was a municipality, it was another organization up there, and the press statements that were sent out were poorly written. And as a reporter, I worked on a few of those, I can attest to that. And they were terribly written. You had to, as a reporter, you had to struggle. Sometimes you had to, at that point, they had someone specifically writing the stories, and you have to be calling the person to clarify several things in the story. And so I don't know what PR system the municipality may have. So it does come back to how are they getting that information to us? I don't know of a report being sent from Linden saying something developmental is going on, similar to what the central government may do. As she said, if a minister goes up there, yes, we might see the media go up there, not just simply because they're doing things in the area, but because a lot of announcement comes out of these events that may pertain to the nation as a whole. So yes, there are ministers, given what their work entails and what their portfolio covers, they would get a level of prominence that the municipalities have to earn. For example, again, if you come back to Georgetown, Georgetown gets coverage. So it's not, I think the case of Linden in specific, and perhaps even like Anna Regina, Rose Hall, and those that are farther away, it's difficult for the reporters to go physically. A system can be set up where on a weekly basis, the municipality sends out information to all the media houses. I don't know that this is done, and you send out this information comprehensively and properly. So it comes back to the PR as well. The municipalities have at their disposal the social media. And that I know for a fact is how a lot of information from far-flung, I wouldn't say, well, not far-flung, but areas that are outside of the Georgetown, the Demerara County area, get their information out there. Sometimes you're scrolling on Facebook and you see RDC or a municipality put out something that is developmental and something good happening there, I know that I will personally pick it up and write a story on it. So if the information is not coming to us, we're not psychic. We can't just say, I know what's going on up in Linden. We don't. So if there is a desire for more stories to be done on municipalities also have to take responsibility of getting that information out, as well as earning that idea that things are happening in this municipality. As I said, a reporter, if I see a lot of reports coming out of a municipality, it's becoming a big thing. This is happening, that is happening. You're seeing development, and you are motivated as a reporter. You know that if I go up to this municipality and I spend a day, I will get about 5 or 6 solid stories. But if I'm not seeing much come out of a municipality, I don't see much attention for it, I'm not going to take it upon myself to say I'm going to go up there and look, and then there's a hit or miss. I'm not going to get stories out of it or know what's going on. The cooperation of the official is also there, also necessary. They have to make themselves available. That, okay, when reporters call you, you're always available. Additionally, reporters' numbers are something easy to get. If you call reporters and you say, oh, this is going on up here, and a reporter may be like, oh, my schedule's really busy, but if you do a write-up or when the event is happening, you get the details and you send it to me, I will do a story. I wouldn't say there's any reporter that would say to a official of a community, when it involves community development, that the official is saying, hey, this development is happening in my area. Can I have a story on it? And a reporter would say, no, you get no story. I don't know that would ever happen.
Dr. Thanks.
If I may quickly respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Respond to this, because amazingly, my first job was a reporter. And that job entitles that reporters have 3 to 5 stories by the end of the week or so forth. And they go after that. They say this, and this is what I'm going to do. They pick up their phones and they call. We've had Tongue Week scheduled and out since about February. To date, we've seen no reporting in any newspaper about anything. The calendar was sent to DPI, it was sent to NCN, and NCN showed up at no event until a minister was in the town. Let's be mindful that in our discussions, we don't mislead people. As a reporter, I have persons who have called me from other newspapers and said, Mayor, Tongue Week is starting. We want to have an interview with you. Tell me what time and what date we're going to do this. If we are true reporters, then we make sure we're tipping and we're understanding what's going on. And we cannot run away from the fact that our media houses have been politicized, and it is seen. It is seen and it's felt, especially when you're sitting in a seat as the one I'm sitting in. I sent out a circular to all media houses a week ago about government not supporting local government elections. And I think only Stabrook carried that story. About them not supporting Tongue Week, sorry. Only Stabrook carried that story and a few other houses called. So let's be mindful. Media is media. Media tells stories, they tell facts, they tell truth. And the role is for them to find those stories. You can call anybody at any time to say this is what's happening or that's what's happening. We have utilized the social media page because we've realized even if we send out circulars that it's not carried. We would invite NCN to our statutory meetings and they would not show. So we had to take our statutory meetings live to Facebook so people will understand what's happening. So we've got to understand what's happening in and around the country, what's happening in media, because who controls the media controls the ears and the movements of the people. And I think that's what's happening. And again, I sit here as an APNU candidate, but I say clearly that everybody who takes the seat in government, regardless of which party you're from, media should always remain on the off side, ensuring that both sides are told and how they should be told. So all I'm saying, we have not had a lot of coverage from government. We've not had a lot of coverage from media houses, whether it's in or out of Linden. But we've been able to survive because, of course, Facebook continues to allow us that opportunity to do so. And what I found also, that when we put something up on Facebook, there's some media houses that will call after and say, so we saw this. Could we carry this story? Could you tell us what's happening? And that's what you expect from your media houses who wants to give the truth that needs to be out there.
Okay. Now, Ms. Arrindel, Mayor Arrindel, there's definitely something, and that is there's a conflict between the municipalities and the central government. The perception is, and to a large extent, a consensus that if there's a PP government in office, it will starve PNC municipalities of funds. I am not saying this. I want all my PP supporters and listeners to know this is not Dr. Rose saying this. This is a consensus. This is a perception out there. When APNU is in office, APNU did this opposite. Starve PP areas of subvention and so forth. My question to you, Ms. Arrindel, Mayor Arrindel, this is happening, and we can't run away from the fact. Those who want to run away from the fact is because they are in denial. It's happening. I know it's happening for a fact. How do we go about to settle this conflict or to find a solution to it?
Please repeat that question for me.
I'm saying the perception is if there's an APNU government in office, it will starve PP, NDCs, or RDCs of funds. If there's a PP government in office, it will starve PNC, NDCs, and RDCs of funds. This is out there. There is a perception, and it's actually a consensus. And I'm saying to everyone who are in denial of this, who don't see this, they are in denial. It's happening. Not by the PP alone, but by APNU as well. It is happening by both governments. How do we go about settle this conflict or find a solution to solve this problem that municipalities should not be at the whims and fancies of a government because it belongs to another party, it will not get funds. It belongs to this party, then it will get funds.
You know, Mr. Rose, you ask the hardest questions on these programs. I don't know how we can solve that problem. And I'm going to use the term I always say in my head. Guyana has petty politics. Petty politics means people carry feelings if they know that you have not voted for them. And no government, regardless of how you got the seat, should be petty. If you've won the seat of government in this country and you've won by the maximum vote, your role is to serve all. And we found that that does not happen. And so I really can't say how it would change. We may have to do more than constitutional change. We may have to change some people. But that's a problem I really can't comment on. Until we can grow up as politicians and understand that everybody talks a good thing on the platform, that we want to do this, and this for the country. And then when we get in there, we're only doing what we think this person voted and that person voted. And we have the same issue. We have to just find a way to fix it. Maybe the people themselves have to rise up. Because if I can say, I feel as though every party puts the people on the ground to fight against each other, which allows them that power that they have to manipulate the system. The people on the ground have got to come together and understand that the sitting government is a government for all people. And if we see that they are being partisan to a specific thing, even if it pleases us, we have got to say, this is not how it should be done. Let's pull everybody in. So it will take us to change it, because I believe that governments just want to look after themselves. My personal view, of course.
Let me turn to local government elections. Some in the PP are claiming that they're making major inroads into PNC stronghold. Is this the case in Linden, Mr. Arrindel?
Linden is strong on its value and has always been PNC. To my knowledge, that has not changed.
And Ms. Garnett, do you think you have any information that the PP is making inroads into PNC strongholds? As a reporter, do you have that information?
Well, the I can speak on what is observable, and the observable facts are that they have. That's not to be political. That's to say, Georgetown, for example, in the 2016 elections, the PP only won, I think, 2 seats. And then they came back in 2018 and they won 5. Then now, aside from that, we see 2 of their constituency candidates, their leading constituency candidates, have moved over to the PPC. And when you listen, I recently did a story by Miss Tritria Richards, which is one of the candidates that crossed over. And you do see a common thread in stories coming out from persons that walk away from the APNU party, that they're not always entirely pleased with their treatment. Again, my story, and this is not me trying to be political, I'm just talking about the facts that are out there. And she spoke about her treatment while she was a member of the APNU party, while she was a counselor for the APNU party, the lack of support that she was getting from her own party to carry out development in her constituency. And the treatment, the treatment that she was getting from her fellow APNU members. Now, she's a human being, and we talk a lot about party politics and persons going along party lines. I think Ms. Tritria Richards stands out as somebody who, she's young, and she represents the person, the youth that is trying to move away from party politics and focus on development. When she shared her story with me, she said why she had joined the APNU when she contested for the party. She was a candidate in 2016. She said initially when the APNU came into government in 2015, then President Granger carried out a cleanup campaign across Georgetown. They initially came in, they were really doing stuff, you could see that. And she was motivated because she was forming a youth group. She was already doing stuff in her community. She was motivated to join that cleanup campaign and go across Georgetown and help clean up. Then she brought it to her own community. She was cleaning up her own community. And she realized that she said she would give out school supplies when the school year starts and share kites at Easter, gifts and toys to children at Christmas. And so when they approached her, because she could see what they were doing, when they approached her, she said she definitely wanted to do it because she was seeing development and she wanted to have access to more resources to do more development in her constituency. And now then she was totally disenchanted with what she was faced with when she got in there. So that, and the same thing that motivated her to join the APNU is what led her to now join the PPC, because she's seeing the cleanup campaign, she's seeing development in her community, things are being done. There was her key case that she put forward was that garbage was piling up in her marketplace and her constituency. She continually tried to reach out to the council to get help, and as we know, the council is being run by APNU at this point in time. If we're saying that, even if we try to go on the notion that parties look after their area and neglect other areas from other parties, why was Ms. Richards' area neglected? How do we explain that this is an APNU dominated area? APNU won the seat in this area. Why was this area not being taken care of? So there's that. So I think Ms. Richard represents persons that may be getting disenchanted with the APNU. I don't know what is their structure as it pertains to how they continue to work along with the people that are in their party, that are on the ground, and ensure that there's a feed up system where what is needed on the ground is being dealt with. And you're seeing a lot of that coming from the PPC party right now. they're going out in the community. I cover a lot of the community outreaches. You hear what the people talk about, people see their issue being dealt with. Persons are seeing things getting done. And that's all that we want as citizens. Not even for persons that, there are those diehard persons that no matter what, they will vote for a particular party. That to a certain extent, and that is the older persons, of course. And we'll always have some of that. But there is a huge youthful collection of the electorate that will look at what is being done in my community, what is being done on the ground, what is impacting me as a citizen, even as parties fight among themselves to try to garner the support of a particular electorate. I, as a citizen, have to look at what am I getting out of this particular government? What is happening? Is something happening for me? And I think the PPC is going out on the ground. I think the president being on the ground, just being on the ground, is something you hear so many persons, and I don't think these are people, and we know the opposition will say a lot, persons are paid to say things, persons are paid to support, but you go into these communities. The president was in Agricola. I went into the community and spoke to persons, and they were very disenchanted by the fact that after APNU went into government, they never saw President Granger go into this community and speak with them, ask them face to face, what do you need from me to help your community? There was also a visit by the government in Leopold Street. As we know, that is a little bit of an infamous area in the city. I don't know when the last time a president went into that area. I don't know. So,
and you also went into Albertson and Tiger Bay. Okay, I know
of the APNU going in Tiger Bay as well. So, but I'm talking about specific areas. Like when I saw that, and I'm coming from the angle of just a citizen, watching that, for me, that is not about being partisan. That is about just looking at something and saying, well, that is a very good thing, and this is something that we want to see from leaders. You want to see them on the ground. And I think the fact that it was very strategic that the PPC has someone as young as Irfan, as Dr. Ali, as the president. And so there is that pull for youthful persons during the APNU's time in office. This is also a fact. We saw a lot of old persons being given, being put into positions. And so there wasn't that attraction by youths. And I think a lot of political parties don't realize it, but the youths are the make or break it. Because as we come up and we start to vote along, we're trying our best to look at voting along development and things that are going on. We're the make or break set, and you have to
I will come to the youths later on. Mayor Arrindel.
Anyway, I'm going on a little, but that's why I think that the PPC is making some amount of inroads. Because if you look also, another thing too, if you look at APNU dominated areas, they have some of the lowest turnouts in local government elections. And why? And you have to question, the APNU now has to answer for that. That is your constituency. That is your local authority area where you are the main party, where you get the most support. What are you doing wrong that you have the lowest voter turnouts? Okay. That your voters are not coming out for you at local government elections. Okay. And so that leaves too much room for other people to swoop in and go in there. And if that's your stronghold and your people are not seeing you enough to be motivated to come out at local government elections, and they start seeing other people that motivates them to come out for local government elections, then they're going to obviously support the people that they see. then that does have a problem.
Got your point. Miss Mayor Arrindel.
Well, before you ask a question, I just want to hint on something. I see Ms. Garnett went on and on, wondering if we're here representing the PPP in government. We have to understand something about local government organ, and this is why we're not getting decentralization of services. And I agree, the president on the ground every now and again is great optics. But the idea of central government is that they should support local government organ, because as we are aware, there are 3 tiers of government. There's central, there's regional, and there's local. The reason why they have a local government organ is because the central government, because local government organs are semi-autonomous, which means that the central government is supposed to ensure that the funds are placed in the local government organs, so they're the ones working on the ground for the people. If the government continues to keep that fund and only come to patch a road when they're coming into the towns, only come to dig a drain when they're coming into the town for optics, then by extension, the media is allowing the government to also kill local government organs. The idea is not who does it and who does it best and who comes on the ground. The idea is that if a country has a standard operating procedure and laws that governs it, those laws needs to be maintained. Local government organs are supposed to get the funds they need to do what the central government is attempting to do so that they can get votes. We're not there for votes. We're there to get the work done. So by right, central government is supposed to filter monies to the regional government, which works on the ground to represent them. Regardless of who sits at that regional level, whatever they do, the government and the people's taxpayers' money is what's being sent to that regional government. So when the work is done, the government gets the glory. They're supposed to do the same with local government. The monies are supposed to be filtered to local government organs so they can do the roles that are given to them. So that when that is done, it's not which party sits at the local government helm. It's the people's taxpayers' dollars that are filtered down to an organization that is agreed upon by law to do work on the ground. So by right, the ministers and the government can come on the ground. But when they come on the ground, it's not for them to pull the shovel and dig the holes. It's for them to come and say, we have sent your monies to your local organs. Look what they have done. We're here to open it.
Okay. Mr. Arrindel, Mayor Arrindel, for the past 5 years, you've been the mayor of Linden, and I think your term has come to an end. Can you tell our listeners what are some of your major achievements and what are some of your major obstacles?
You have more obstacles than achievements. 5 years.
A couple of them.
Pardon me?
Just name a couple of them.
All right, so one of the things we really had attempted to do is to work on, Linden did not have an open space. And so we've created an open space within the community where the I Love Linden sign is. If you've ever come to Linden before, we have the dike, we have the Blue Lakes, but we never had a place where persons can come and sit and relax. So we had the opportunity over the years to do that and to refurbish the bandstand. The bandstand idea was that we'll get our seniors to come out in the afternoon. We'll get our seniors to come out in the afternoons and have a place to relax. So we've been able to do that. We've opened our first women's home in Region 10, and that home we've started to work with the domestic violence unit in order to support women in domestic violence. We've also attempted in the same stretch, because we do not have a home for children as yet, we lend support to central government, to the domestic violence unit in terms of children who are displaced at any time. We've been able to open 2 community centers, one in Amelia's ward and one in Blueberry Hill. That's 2 of our largest communities that have not had community centers. Those community centers are being used for after-school training for children. They're being used for support systems to seniors and other activities that are occurring. What we try to do in our beautification is to have the history of Linden revived. We've realized we've lost a lot of those histories over the years. So we've worked with we've had some monuments up. We've been able to put those monuments in 3 languages. So the person, as you know, Linden is a town where everybody passed through in order to reach the interior. So that helps in a lot of way to increase tourism, which has now been developing within the township. We've done a lot of improvement within the municipality itself. And I remember earlier being mentioned that municipalities are not as effective as they should be. And again, that has a lot to do with our ability to sustain staff because of the wages and salaries. Municipalities they're unable to sustain staff and to build the municipality. What we've done here in Linden, we've computerized our municipality. We're working on getting everybody involved in emailing, in terms of having a formal workplace email system within here. We have been sending our staff on training as much as we possibly can, and we've been paying for that so that the staff can get up to date with what's happening. We have really tried to improve the working condition of our staff, especially as related to the solid waste management area. That's one of our very weak areas at the council. We're really trying to improve on solid waste management and in terms of how our staff is treated within the community. Basically, those are some of the things. We have worked with central government to ensure that most of our streets at this point, we're trying to get lights. We're trying to get lights. We're trying to get our roads patched and our drains done. We were working before with the CIIP program where we would be able to clean the roadways. That program has now been taken away from the municipality and has been placed in another organ that is not responsible for this, based on the fact that it has really become a political thing. But we are grateful at the municipality that the work is just being done. So we have persons in our community. And of course, continued work for competence within the municipality, the reporting system. And that's one of the reasons why we went live with our Facebook, because we wanted people to know what's happening in Linden with our statutory, We wanted people to know what's happening in Linden at least once a month to get a follow-up on all the things that are happening and how they can improve. And while we've been here, we've put some regulations in place. As you know that according to the 2801, we're able to make some adjustments. So we've been able to work to make some regulations for the solid waste management and other departments. But it's been more work to develop the council because the municipality of Linden has not been a strong municipality in terms of their competence within the administration. And so we're really working on training with the administrative staff so that when the new mayor and councillors enter, they can now continue to build from where we've left off. And of course, be able to do more community building because we have a staff that is able to balance and manage at this time.
Okay. Well, they didn't give us some of the obstacles, but that's okay. Now, Mayor Arrindel, let me ask you, President Ali's one kind of vision. Do you support it? If yes, why? If no, why? And please be short.
So I support one people, one nation, one destiny. I support the fact of anyone who wants to bring Guyana together. What I do not feel as the mayor is that the words that the president has said is what's actually happening. I have not seen him done the one Guyana concept that he builds in Linden, and Tamica is a grave example of that. We've got no support from government, no ministers showing up to support Linden in this grand tourism event. So for me, while it's words, I'd love to see action, and that I have not seen.
Ms. Garnett, do you support the One Guyana Initiative vision, President Ali's One Guyana vision? If yes, why? If no, why?
Okay, I'm gonna be neutral on this one because, okay, that I think brings me into a little bit too much into the political sphere of things. As a journalist, you do try to remain neutral where a political something is. I will mirror Mayor's Arrindel's words where from the minute, as a child growing up, from the minute you can remember, it's one people, one nation, one destiny. And I am always so proud of that. Because you see, in the world, you see diversity sometimes drawing people farther apart so much. And that was something that surprised me when I was growing up, because I grew up with Muslim friends, Christian friends, Hindu friends. We celebrated, as we do right now as a country, celebrate each other's different holidays religiously, ethnically. We celebrate, we would see Indo-Guyanese go out at emancipation. We would see Afro-Guyanese celebrating, like Pago wearing the clothing and what's not. So as a Guyanese, I will always support one people, one nation, one destiny, and be proud of how we have created unity in our diversity.
Okay, Mr. Arrindel, one last one before my colleague comes in. Domestic violence. Women are the front line of it. How you think that should be solved? Brief, please, brief.
Your mute is on, Mayor.
Your mute is on.
Sorry, please say that again to me.
Domestic violence. Women are the brunt of it. How do you think that should be solved? And please be short because time is of the essence now.
Education and support. We've got to educate our women, and we've got to understand. We also have to start at education in school. Encourage our young ladies to go through school, finish school, empower them. And then a support system is needed. We've got to have women who support women. And also educate our men on the importance of women. If we don't educate, there's nothing we can do. We can create all these systems and create all these homes, but without knowledge, our people will forever fail. So education for me and empowering our women that they can do and they can become.
You, Ms. Garnett.
I again want to mirror Mayor's Arrindel's statement, education and support. We see if it's an issue that people want to have out there, we have these billboards, electronic billboards all over the place. How often do you see a billboard that talks about domestic violence and tells a woman what she can do and where she can get help from? I think definitely support needs to be there. Psychological support especially. We also need to stop judging women and be cognizant of how difficult it is for a woman that's undergoing domestic violence to get out from what she's going through, because we know a lot of cases where a woman would report their domestic violence incidents to the police. And then 5 minutes later, she turns up at the police station and she asking the police to release the man that just beat her. And the police have to do that. And if she comes back again, the police become less supportive of her. And I can understand that kind of frustration. But at the same time, we need to understand what these women are going, the psychological effect it has on them. And we do need to address it from the perspective of the men as well. I don't think we do enough to address that. The men really see nothing wrong in what they're doing and the way that they're treating women. I don't think we realize just how severely these men do not see that feel that anything is wrong with some of the things that they're doing and how they're treating women.
I'll let my colleague Charles answer you.
All right. I know it's we're generalizing, dear Miss Garnett, not all men.
Not all men, of course.
Quickly, we only have 5 minutes, Mayor. Your mute is on. Are you on the list for this election or you're not on the list?
I will not be on the list. I will be supporting.
So is this your last interview with us as Mayor of Linden?
Yes, you can just call me Waneka next time and I'll be here.
Linden will lose a great mayor there. I wish Linden all the way. You know what I don't quite understand, Mayor, is that when President Burnham was the mayor of Georgetown, he knew at that time the limitations of the city council. Yet as prime minister, he didn't change it. I know we can reflect why or why not, but it all bothers me that he was mayor at one time, but still didn't see it fit to give the mayor more authority and responsibility to do the work done.
I will eventually run for president and I'll fix it.
Okay.
Oh, you'll be an excellent president. You'll have my vote. I think, and have Ms. Garnett as your deputy. She's an excellent person here as well. Ladies, we're running out of time. Mayor, how was the Labor Day at Linden?
Wonderful. We marched at 6 a.m.
6 what?
In the morning.
And you marched to where?
Oh, no, I did not march. We marched. We marched from the hospital to Central Mackenzie.
And then there's a rally there. And
then there was a small rally, yes, before it.
So there's a big sport going on here right now, I guess.
Well, we're ending Linden Town Week today. Remember that.
Okay. So more celebration.
More celebrations.
How did Georgetown, Ms. Garnett, with the Labor Day? Is there a lot of celebration going on?
There was the usual marching through the streets. It's just what it regularly is. I wouldn't say it was like bigger than any year previous. The persons were animated and energetic, and they were receptive to as you know, we had two separate rallies, unfortunately. Again, that's a political issue, so I wouldn't get too much into that. But it was about bringing to the attention to the workers and what they're going through and celebrating them. And I'm a worker as well, so I was out there. But it was good. I know some individual unions had their little individual hangouts and partying and stuff like that, so that was good as well.
What I think was more intriguing for me when I was growing up is that the song that they sing, "For the Union Make Us Strong," that was a really nice, and of course it vibrates even today. I think of my hymn, "Glory, Hallelujah, Hallelujah," something like to that effect. And but ladies, it has been a great pleasure to have you both tonight. Mayor Arrindel, we want to wish you all the best in the future. I know that you will not give up Linden. You'll be a part of the new administration there. Hopefully they will call on you for their guidance. And whenever you think of running for president, please let us know so we can come to the Linden to support you. Ms. Garnett, we want to thank you. You've been very eloquent in your presentation. I know sometimes, as Mayor Arrindel says, you seem to be speaking on behalf of the PPP. I don't think that was intentional, but as a journalist, you report exactly as you see it. And we want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. You have been amazing. Anything in closing, Mayor Arrindel?
No, just that it's been lovely you having me on the program. And of course, I'm reaching out to you guys. I did say once we need to call all the mayors. I'm calling you to call some deputy mayors now. We've heard a lot from mayors lately. Let's hear what the deputies who served under us think, So, and they might be the next mayors coming up. So great. I hope to see that on your next show.
Great idea. We will definitely take that on.
Okay.
Ms. Garnett, anything in closing?
I'm just happy to be on the show, happy to have participated in the discussion. I know we had some moments there. I'm glad to have shared this, to hear some of the perspective from Mayor Arrindel as it pertains to especially her thoughts on the media and coverage for Linden. So she will probably be hearing more. Well, she won't be mayor anymore, unfortunately, but I have duly noted what was said about the need for more coverage, on the ground coverage of local authority areas, and in as much as it will be within my remit to be able to get the opportunity to do that, I do think that is something I would personally would like to address, even goes to Linden as the election plays out, and when development is going on, ensure that the respective LAAs get that attention that they need.
And we'd also like to see Ghana Chronicles being a more neutral newspaper representing the views of all Guyanese, not only the views of the government. But that's, I guess you can't make that call, but we look forward for that in the Ghana Chronicle. Dr. Rose, anything in closing?
Yes, I would like to see, as you said, minimum wage increase or the average salary increase for public servants at least $150,000 a month. I would like to see the retirement age climb from 55 to 62. And I would like to see enough better internet services for the country.
If we can change the Exxon contract, we'll get $200,000 a month take-home pay with no question asked. But that's something we'll have to fight for. Again, we want to thank all of you, Mayor Arrindel, Ms. Garnett, Dr. Rose, to our viewers out there, to Globespan. Until the next time, happy Labor Day, everyone. Be careful if you drink. Please do not drive. Let someone drive you home. Call Uber. Well, you don't have Uber in Guyana, but call a cab and let them take you home. But don't drive if you're drinking. Again, God bless our great country of Guyana. Until the next time. Bye.